Alright, what do we have this week? PETA tries to censor Nintendo, Steam changing reviews, Elder Scrolls 6 news, Predators on Roblox, and more on Old Man Rage's Add the News for the 25th of August 2025. But before we get into the news, please like and subscribe as the new algorithm likes that. And kicking off this week, we have Randy Pitchford saying Borderlands 4 story is inspired by the sale of Gearbox, and the story touches on themes like anarchy and fascism. Gearbox promised that the story is taken more seriously this time. The game supposedly takes place in a prison planet called Kairos, with a tyrannical overlord called Timekeeper, who stuck bolts in everyone so that he can kill them at will and also peer through their eyes. In a chat with Epic Games, Pitchford said that when the studio sat down to write the game's story, it asked itself, what's the zeitgeist of the environment we are in? He also mentioned, and I quote, "There's a cultural and emotional shift in me personally and at the studio. What does it mean to trade some autonomy for organization? What does it feel like to move up and down the scale between autonomy and being organized or even being controlled? On one end of the spectrum, you have anarchy, and on the other end of the spectrum, you have fascism, totalitarianism, zero freedom. It's not just about societies, that's all of us as individuals. To imagine where we want to be on the spectrum and how comfortable we are, we're going through that as a company." Now, this doesn't sound healthy for a company, but hey, let's just look at the supposed 30 billion guns the CEO claims. That's more exciting than the story about fascism. Moving on to an organization that is trying its best to stay relevant. PETA came out of the woodworks and called Nintendo to redesign the Mario Kart World's cow without a nose ring. I swear this activist group will do anything for attention. PETA even claims that these nose rings are, and I quote, "used by the meat and dairy industry to exploit, control, and even drag animals to their deaths." And they're right on the control part, but to go as far as to say exploit and drag to their deaths, I will call bull on that. But even if we are to assume that all of it is true, I'm still against it because this is a blatant attempt at censorship. Now, if you Google PETA though, outside of their website, every other article calls them out for their euthanasia raids, so, look at the pot calling the kettle black in this case. But that's not the end of their humiliation fetish. They posted this on their Twitter account too, and judging by the replies, it looks like a few hundred people are on their side, at least looking at the likes. You can even see Pat Back Nitro's post raging it quite hard, to which PETA in turn had the smart idea of repeating that nose ring cause real pain to real cows. Yep, that's sure as hell gonna convince us to look the other way while you censor anything you deem bad. Pat Back Nitro also clapped back by saying, "Until you pointed it out, how many people even really grasp the concept of the cow having a nose ring? Removing it changes nothing because nobody except you cared about it. It'd be a completely hollow victory just for you to put in your yearly report, which should be filled with actual achievements, things that truly matter. Instead, this is the hill you want to die on, metaphorically of course." I would go into this more because the copy-paste replies from PETA are amusing, but I don't want to give them any more time of my day on pointless fights like these. At most, I can hire a dump truck midsummer and dump the content of it in front of the PETA HQ. And now for a follow-up from last week's news. There was a rumor that Fairgames is being cancelled. You know, the Eat the Rich DI focus game? Yeah, I wish the rumors were true. This news came from Michael Pachter, a prolific industry analyst who was speaking during his Pachter podcast. This was a misunderstanding caused by the departure of the studio's founder, Jade Raymond. Fellow YouTuber Distance spoke with Michael Pachter and confirmed that Pachter does not know if Fairgames was cancelled. Pachter also stated, and I quote, "I misspoke. said Jade was let go and assumed it was cancelled. I have no info on the game at all. Feel free to call this, I truly don't know. Oh well, if this game doesn't get cancelled, at least we'll have another Concord 3.0. Moving on, Arkane Studios union published an open letter to Microsoft demanding a stop to Israeli support. Yes, instead of making good games and staying away from politics, they instead just try to involve themselves into anything and everything. Here's the kicker though, the boycott, divestment and sanctions, BDS for short, called Microsoft, and I quote, perhaps the most complicit tech company in Israeli illegal occupation, and called the players to boycott all Microsoft gaming products. I mean, I don't really need a reason to boycott the game aside from it being bad and the developer obviously not caring about what the public wants. But anyways, 2,000 of Microsoft's workers also signed the No Azure for Apartheid petition, which demanded the tech giant, and I quote, cut all ties with the Israeli army, and the company conduct, and I quote, a third-party independent audit of our contract, services, and products to make sure they are not involved in any human rights violations, be it Gaza or elsewhere. Now, I can probably go into the technical side of why their petition is not gonna go anywhere. Instead, all I'm gonna say is, as long as Windows has the largest percentage of users compared to any other operating system, Microsoft won't do anything. Make of that what you will. Moving on, Steam is making review changes that could combat review bombing. In a post on Steam, Valve acknowledged that the 12 years since it instituted user reviews, Steam has grown into a global platform that brings together users from all over the world. And different audiences might have different experiences of what's important in a game. They also said, and I quote, there's a variety of reasons this may happen for a particular game, including translation issues, cultural references, poor network connection, and many others. Things that the overall review score haven't been able to capture until now. Calculating a language-specific review score means that we can better distill the sentiment of these different groups of customers, and in doing so, better serve potential customers that belong to these groups. You can also see they added a new review specifically for language, and you have the option to, quote, see language breakdown for more details. As for how this will stop review bombing, I have no clue. My best guess would be to combat review bombing just because the game community in a single country decided to do it just because a game takes liberties with storytelling that they can't handle like adults. This is just my guess, but this is a start for a better review system, I hope. Moving on, T.I. the Failguard writer was appointed as senior quest designer at Bethesda. All Todd had to do was avoid the damn terrible writers, and Elder Scrolls would have sold extremely well, but I guess we can't have nice things. Now, we know Bethesda loves their jank, but they still have some loyal followers, and this feels like a gut punch to these people. I mean, Failguard's story was something that you'd make in middle school thinking you can actually write just because you put yourself in. Oh boy. Is Bethesda cooked? I don't know. Leave your thoughts in the comments. And in other news, EA wants to release Battlefield game every year, basically focusing on quantity instead of quality, because that's always a good idea. Battlefield had a weird trajectory since Battlefield 5. They used to release yearly or bi-yearly games since the start, and between Battlefield 5 and 2042, there was a 3-year gap, and a 4-year gap between 2042 and Battlefield 6. And as Games Radar article pointed out, unlike 2042, people liked the beta test, and now apparently the goal is to return to more frequent schedules. The industry analyst Michael Patcher spoke about Battlefield 6 on his podcast Patcher Factor, and during it he claims that he talked with Brian Bede, general manager of the Battlefield franchise, saying their goal is 3 studios making Battlefield on a 3-year basis. Patcher also added, he, referring to BD, said it's going to take 5 or 6 years before we get 2 in a row. So we're not going to get there for a while. So there is still some time for players to submit feedback and say that they would rather have quality over quantity. Either that, or we hope he misspoke again about this like he did with Fairgames. Now, let's just hope that they don't follow the modern audience slop again like how Black Ops 7 did. The estimated dislikes on the gameplay reveal trailer are almost around 330k, with the video having 35 million views. Not only that, but most of the top comments are just roasting the game. Sure, the game might be too big to fail, but I wouldn't put it past 1 or 2 more bad experiences for it to lose the majority of its player base. Even Game Rant admits it could push people to play Battlefield 6 instead. And you know it looks bad when a games journalist says it. And now for a blast from my past. So I heard what was absolutely abysmal in terms of story, but I wasn't expecting to put it on the news. The r/wow subreddit made that choice for me. The mods over there removed the post showing a 3-minute fix for Lizzard, making her look much better. Now, why the fix, you may ask? WoW had its latest expansion reveal trailer at Gamescom, and let's put it like that, Lizzard got uglified. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And yes, on the screen you're seeing something that was taken from 2025 versus something that's taken from 2008. You can see the energy. I mean, you can feel the energy from one and the lack of care from the other. Mind you, both were made in the in-game engine by the looks of things. I know the 2008 one was. There's even a breakdown on WoW's channel on exactly how they made it. Sure, you can point out that the post is back again, but the mods locked the comment section because of quote hateful comments. Yes, the pettiness goes deeper. I figured I should include this while we are at it, but the Midnight Cinematic on IGN has double the amount of dislikes compared to likes on the official WoW account. It has 38k likes with 24k dislikes. So it does show that Blizzard ain't the same one that used to care about the game. Moving on, Nexus Mods finally rolls out the age checks for adult content, but it's not affecting everyone. It's just the UK for now, most likely other countries in the future. They explain that it's happening because of the UK's law to quote-unquote protect children, which I still do not believe even for a single moment, mind you. And they also mention who need to verify. Obviously, the UK users have to verify and the EU users will have to verify too once region laws require it. However, for other users and accounts that are 10 or more years old, they will not be asked to verify. A small win if you ask me, but definitely not enough. Now, they will be using KID, which they claim to be a trusted age verification like Discord and others in the gaming industry. However, we can already see that if Discord is using KID, that it's very easily trickable. After all, there was a mad lad that submitted a Death Stranding photo to Discord's age verification and got into the adult age group. Moving on, Vampire Bloodlines 2 got a release date with a paid Day 1 DLC. What a way to suck on people's wallets. Bloodline 2 will offer 4 vampire clans with different playstyles, however, 2 additional ones will be locked behind Day 1 DLC. Thanks, Paradox! We really like that over here. Now, to get those clans you need to either pay for the 90 euros premium edition or an extra 22 euros to add the DLC to your base game. To make matters even worse, both of those clans will have their own unique abilities instead of just making it purely cosmetic. Nice job, Paradox! I can already feel my money being sucked away just by you having your ass next to my thigh. I mean, even PC gamers asking if Paradox is smoking crack at this point. They could have made cosmetic DLC, but nope, classic Paradox locking gameplay features behind paid DLC content. I get that cosmetic DLC won't sell as much really, But if you have game content behind day 1 DLC, let me tell you, that means it's been cut from the base game during development. And that's a bad practice for the consumer. And apparently, we can't have nice things. Instead of Wuchang improving their game or leaving it alone, they choose to introduce censorship, which prevents killing historical figures. The 1.5 patch introduces bug fixes and made gameplay tweaks. However, they added a patch note that reads, made adjustments to animations, values, and level design for certain NPCs and AI. Added dialogues for some NPCs to complete some plots. We will further optimize the exhaustion animations in the future to improve the plot performance. And once players dug deeper, they found it's impossible to kill certain bosses or other NPCs based on real-life historical figures. What happens is the affected characters collapse from exhaustion, with some of them speaking new dialogue to players. I've always said this and will continue to say it. These types of changes should never happen in the first place. They could have chosen to make it a toggleable option. It wouldn't have been that big of an effort, but instead they chose this to be the new standard for their paying customers, regardless if they like it or not. And in other news, did you know that Assassin's Creed Shadows is the #1 game for Europe in 2025? Shocking, I know! The level of lies these journalist shills go through is absolutely insane. Looking at what their sources is absolutely hilarious. They claim that it's the #1 game, yet they put EA Sports first, then Assassin's Creed Shadows. Not only that, but the data only covers Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and Old Man UK. That's surprisingly not a complete list. There are 44 countries in Europe. However, they only listed 15. Now, let's be real here. Poland doesn't exist. According to these numbskulls, the Balkans are a myth as well, or a nightmare to these dumbasses. But anyways, that's not all. This data only goes until the 28th of July and doesn't include digital data, which is why they put Hogwarts Legacy and Monster Hunter Wilds below Assassin's Creed Shadows. Spoiler alert, both of those games trashed Shadows. They also included games bundled with hardware included, which as far as I'm aware, the only one on the list there is Shadows, making the data even more skewed in SLOP's favor. I'll spare you the brain rot from the rest of the article, cause they pulled the Obama meme and claimed that their data is good. Now, until we get sales data, not player engagement, actual sales data that breaks down how many people paid for the game, how many people refunded the game, and how many people played it through Ubisoft Plus, this article is nothing more than journalists bending over backwards for Ubisoft ass. Moving on, The Outer Worlds 2 companion trailer is out, and oh boy, just from the thumbnail alone, you can tell it's not made for actual gamers, but for modern audiences. It received 4K dislikes and the comments are raking them over the coals. Aventus commented, "My pattern recognition alarm bells are ringing." Other users commented, "Somehow Concord returned. You can smell the layoffs. Diversity now means every character looks exactly the same." You get the point. Remember, GameSpot even said that the game feels more like the same, and the pre-purchase price of €70 on top of the €100 premium edition, well, it ain't looking good for the game. One final thing, just to rub salt in the wound really, you can see on IGN's channel the gameplay breakdown video of the game received a bit over 35k views and 1.2k dislikes. Yeah, if this isn't telling you that a good portion of the community will not play this game, I don't know what will. Moving on, Tales of Xillia is getting a remaster. But if you look at the fine print, aka the bottom of the page, you'll see this statement. In light of ethics, we have changed some expressions from the original work, which is code word for censorship. Looking at the Reddit post, which I'm surprised it's not locked yet really, a commenter mentioned the pipe attachment has been censored as well as some item descriptions. It doesn't say which items, and it's been a long time since I've played the original, so I can't guess what they mean. So, while there isn't hard evidence the game will have major censorship, I wouldn't put it past Bandai Namco to pander to modern audiences. There'll be more on this if there's any other developments. Moving on, the dev behind the Nazi detective game takes stage at Gamescom 2025 and spouts that democracy is under attack. I wonder what went through this guy's head to talk about politics on a show about games. He said, and I quote, "The darkest files show we cannot simply stand by and watch, we must take action. Games are more than entertainment. Like any great form of art, they reflect our concerns, our fears, our hopes, and what preoccupies us. Democracy is under attack right now. Minority rights are being violated." Okay, if that's what you truly believe, go for it, my man. But this isn't a place to talk about it. This is a place to talk about your game, not politics. Go talk about it on Twitter or make a YouTube video, because I'm pretty sure the people who watch Gamescom aren't there for political shit. Now, the cynic in me, this is an attempt at getting people to play their game. Well, that peaked out at 201 players. But that's just the cynic in me talking. Can't really figure out what's going through this guy's head. Also, I don't like how Kotaku said that it's an important message with its title. There's nothing important about a political statement on a platform about video games, you goddamn morons. But some people don't really get it, and try to ruin the entertainment of others, sadly. Moving on, Bungie CEO Pete Parsons left the company, and a veteran of the company will replace him. The veteran replacing him is Justin Truman, who worked at Bungie and Destiny for 15 years. Now, if this is good news for Bungie or not, only time will tell. And now for a returning character on this channel. Yep, Collective Shout is back on the news. This one is a bit late, but I figured I should throw it in as well. The movement manager of Caveated Shoe, Carol Allison, posted a tweet, and I would think they need to stop posting, but nope, they have an agenda to push. I'll keep saying this again and again. If they truly cared about women and children, they wouldn't be going after games. They would look at places where women and children are being mistreated, but nope, this is just pure grifting, as we showed last week. Specifically with their emails where they called everyone who questions them enemies. Now, I won't deny that there might be actual harassment and death threats thrown their way, but for them to call for government response is taking it to a whole new level. Specifically a whole new level of trying to police people. Next thing you know, they want to install only women presidents in every country. I'm not gonna go over the link, cause this is just them claiming that Gamergate returned, and I've covered it in the previous video. Kathleen Roper posted on Twitter about the abuse she received, and you know the normal thing to do is report the account and move on with your life, but no, you gotta make an example of the account created on the same month, same year as this video comes out. And not only that, but in the literal first frame you can see the account replying to one of her tweets 33 seconds ago. This to me means two things. Either she is the one who made the account to use it as ammunition to get people on her side, or she is actively looking for this stuff because the account in question received basically no engagement other than, well, maximum 15 views. Naturally, I would like to show this stuff, but it includes don't safe for work shit, and YouTube is a bit picky with it. So I'll leave it in the sources section. If you want to know what it is, have a go. And lastly, as I said last week, we're gonna be diving into Roblox. For some context, Roblox has a big predator problem. And if you don't believe me, just look at the fact that the state of Louisiana is suing Roblox over child safety concerns. Not only that, but they also banned SLOP after threatening to sue him. This is the guy who, as I mentioned last week, has 6 confirmed predators arrested, and people started a hashtag #FreeSLOP movement that is apparently against Roblox's TOS. Yes, Roblox is punishing a guy who is doing Roblox's job for him. There is also a petition to remove the Roblox CEO that got over 200,000 signatures. That sure is something pleasant for investors to find out. Now for a thing I wanted to cover, Roblox shared more information about their decision to remove vigilantes from the game. There are confirmed cases and a lawsuit about predator problems, and yet they're more concerned about vigilantes than actual problems. Just looking at the community note, you can close your eyes and click somewhere and you'll open a link that confirms there is a lack of moderation from Roblox team. SLOP even made a video about it, link to it will be in the source section. And the statement they released on one of their bullet points is, and I quote, "Similar to actual predators, they often impersonate minors, actively approached other users, then try to lead them to other platforms to have sexually explicit conversations." Which sure, the bad actors could have done that, but that doesn't justify banning SLOP. He even confirmed that he is using the same tactics that the FBI, ICAC, and local police departments use in their own sting operations to catch predators. Chris Hansen is also working on a documentary that will investigate Roblox child safety issues. Yes, that's the person that ran the TV show To Catch Predator. And I'm waiting with bated breath for that to come out. Remember MasterCard and Visa? How they had issues with illegal content? Well, don't worry, they're making an appearance here, so we can remind you of it. Yes, apparently Roblox doesn't count as illegal content, cause even after all of the shit show that happened, you can still buy the game's premium currency using MasterCard, but not adult games. Priorities, am I right? Almost if people should start calling MasterCard about the predator problem in Roblox and how they are allowing the use of their payment processing services on a game that, by the looks of things, actually actively tries to shield predators. But who am I to tell what people do or don't? MasterCard sure has their priorities set out straight. Not only that, but Visa also partnered up with Honkai Impact 3rd, a gacha game with a lot of fan service and lolly characters, to give players 20% off of their purchases. Roblox also had the brilliant idea, instead of removing adult themed content from their platform, they instead would just clarify their policy for it. They are setting private spaces like bedrooms and bathrooms to people who ID verify and are older than 17. No, I did not misspeak there. They actually wrote 17, not 18 or of legal age. 17. And that is the game that is mainly played by children that will still have adult-themed content. All because they're making money from it. A bunch of corporate suits from Roblox also made a video that is literally 40 minutes of nothingness. They didn't do anything of note worth, and you can see again multiple different sources showing that Roblox is actively ignoring the predator problems. SLOP also made another video on this topic, with Chris Hansen joining him around the halfway point talking about Roblox. I'd strongly recommend looking at it, as it's more enlightening than the SLOP the 3 corporate stooges at Roblox did in their video. But anyways, that's the end of this week. Like the video if you like it, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next time.